Good day everybody, welcome to the channel, hope you're well. This is the first video I'm uploading and I've been thinking about what would be a good topic to start this channel, and you may have seen me around online before, but I just wanted to go in a new direction, mainly because of where we are all heading as a collective, and I really believe that that is ultimately leading everybody into a more congruent relationship with themselves and with God, and I think it's an exciting time and also a very confusing time. You know, we're in the land of confusion right now, and I suppose for me that's why I wanted to come and use this channel, use this space as an opportunity to draw wisdom from ancient scripture, theology, philosophy, and bridge the gaps between where we've been, where we are, and where we're going, and using some of the timeless wisdom from certain scriptures, the Bible, and other things like that, finding the nuggets of gold amidst the chaos and the confusion, and using that to help us all build a new theology moving forward. And I do believe that where we're going is going to be heaven on earth, but we've got a bit of shit to get through first. So yeah, let's see where we go with this. And I decided that the first thing I was going to talk about today was the topic of semen retention, because it's something that's quite common and popular in the male space of spirituality and self-development at the moment. So I just wanted to offer my insights on that, because what I'm seeing a lot of the time is a very performative frame for this way of being. A lot of men are receiving benefits and experiencing a lot of energy and insights and things like that from this practice. But when you look online, a lot of the time you're seeing these things about, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, how you'll feel after this amount of time not doing it. You'll attract more women, you'll be more magnetic, you'll have more power, you'll be able to manifest anything you want. And so what is important to realize or look at throughout that whole thing is this just my ego, and is it just performance being cloaked in spiritual robes? Because quite often that's the case. And this isn't just isolated in the semen retention world. This is spirituality in a modern way for so many different things. Like, a lot of it's become performance. A lot of us think we have to do the performative yoga and breath work and cacao and psychedelics and this and that in order to be on a spiritual path. But what's important to be looking at is, what is the intention behind why I'm doing this in the first place? Because I would say that if a person is choosing to live a life in conscience, in congruence, a life of virtue and morality and integrity, that they would find that automatically some of these practices and ways of being would just fall into place on their own, and we wouldn't need to be doing it for any kind of performance. You know, you might just wake up one day and realize that, I haven't masturbated, I haven't come for a couple of months, and it wasn't about you trying to get something. It was about the fact that that was a consequence of you deciding to live a more congruent, holy, sacred life in alignment with what we know to be true about God. So a question that comes when we're making these kind of choices about adopting new disciplines, adopting new practices, is, what's it really about? My will or thy will? And what is thy will? Well, we've all got a conscience. We all have a little alarm bell that comes and tells us whether we're on the right track when we're about to make a choice. And I would say that, quite simply, the journey that we're all on is about getting into a new relationship with our conscience, and allowing that voice to be a bit louder than the ego's voice that says, "Oh, just do it, just do it, just do what you want, be free," you know. Because the modern spiritual world puts this idea of freedom out, free will out, as though you can just do what you want, and often that gets a bit murky when people start acting against their higher knowing just to feel liberated. And Sean O'Lar, one of my favourite Christian mystics, or Catholic mystics he might call himself, would say that there is a difference between free will and freedom. Free will is the ability to do as I please, whereas freedom is the ability to do as pleases God. And I'm not saying that in a way that we have to be bowing down to some wrathful man in the sky. It's really about understanding what our conscience wants, and our conscience wants the best for everybody, not just for us individually. So it's an easy choice, really, when you in principle, but in practice not necessarily. And in practice, so often these days, we are coming up against finding ways to still be lustful, such as semen retention being about performance, versus it being about me recognizing the power, the generative power that I have, and actually holding that in a way of reverence and humility and respect for God, to say, I honor this sacred seed that you have given me, and I respect the generative power that I've got in my own being to create and affect this reality. So I'm not just going to squander that power. I'm going to hold it in reserve, and I'm going to act with integrity, morality, and virtue in everything that I do. That is what I would say is a more important thing to be looking at when it comes to semen retention. Put a higher value on your seed, not because you want to gain something in the material, but because you recognize that you have been given this amazing generative power, and you want to make sure that you don't squander that, because you understand how much you can affect this reality as a being in this co-creative experience that we're in together. So always be looking at, why am I going to get into something? Is it just about me getting what I want, or is it about me actually creating a more wholesome, congruent environment? Because we are moving there, whether we like it or not. But we live in a relationship with cause and effect in this reality. And if the intentions behind my causes are self-serving, self-satisfying, egoic, and manipulative, controlling, let's say, then I'm setting off a pendulum with that in mind, and eventually that's going to come back to me and reveal to me the consequences of that kind of choice. So this isn't about living in a world of punishment and wrath. It's about actually working with God and understanding that we have a lot of power here. And so holding your seed is about holding that power and being more restrained, having more discipline, not about getting something, because God doesn't need a performance. God doesn't need us to go out there and prove anything. God's just asking and waiting for us to realize that we've already got everything. We've already got eternal providence. We've already got the eternal inheritance of heaven at our fingertips. We don't need to go out there and control and manipulate to get that. We just need to recognize that it's already true and live that in faith. And if we want to create our reality, and we understand and believe that we can create our reality, then it's by living in faith of that, in faith of the providence of the divine, in faith of nature, that we will see that. We will see paradise returning to earth, and we won't need to perform or prove anything to anyone. We already have it. So that's something really important to be thinking about with semen retention. I'm certainly not saying don't do it. There are beautiful benefits, but I'm asking the question, is semen retention a consequence of me deciding to live more in virtue? Or is it something that I'm doing to get a consequence that I want to satisfy my desires, which I've told myself is virtue? That's something to be thinking about. So I'll leave it there for that one, and I look forward to coming back and sharing more on this channel, different ideas and different things from Scripture and different ways of looking at Scripture, because a lot of it's very symbolic, and a lot of it's timeless wisdom that we often overlook because we reject certain doctrines and dogmas, completely understandably, but there's a lot of wisdom tied up in that. So I want to use this channel to pull out and extract a lot of that and help us just see how we can use it to move forward in a more wholesome, congruent and simple way, because I do believe it's very simple. I believe following the conscience is very simple, and if we do that, we find that reality responds very harmoniously to us. So it's simple in principle, not necessarily in practice, but I hope we can extract a lot of that wisdom to do that together. So I look forward to seeing you there, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.